So there was a time where I used to do a lot of LSD, and that time was in high school. And I think it was senior year in April. Yeah. April, because it was Easter. I had just hung out with Christy, which is ironic, in this house. I just hung out with Christy's family during Easter, and we had a great day together. And it was just, I was kind of a part of the family. I got to meet some of her relatives, and it was just such a genuine, warming family Easter. And I had such a good time. It was on a Sunday. I go home to my dad's later that night, and I was switching between my mom and my dad's house because, they're separated. And that night just so happened to be the night that I had to pack up and go to my mom's from my dad's. And so I get home to my dad's, and immediately I just have to pack up everything and go to my mom's. And I got so frustrated that I just had this, I was just so mad at my family situation because I just had this beautiful experience at Christie's. And then I had to go home to this, I have to pack everything that I have to go to my other place, which was a futon in a living room. And I was just so frustrated that I decided to take LSD super late at night to escape, whatever. And it lasts quite a long time. I took that at midnight. And we had school the next day, it was on Monday. And, I fake sleep in for my mom and her boyfriend to leave to go to work. I'm okay. And I'm wide awake, I'm tripping. Relatively on the come down, but still not functional.
Yeah, you're home, but you shouldn't be.
Yeah. And so I was I'm supposed to drive. I can drive by myself at this point, but I was I can't drive right now. I got to get to school. And so I text Christy or I call her. I don't remember. But I was yo, can you get me to school? I'm okay, but I need you to get me to school. She's sure. She was really confused. And I think I said something to her on the phone or something like that. And it was I'm okay right now. I'm feeling great, but I need help.
You just heard the voice of Nick Lombardo. Nick Lombardo is a Kansas Cityan and close friend of mine. And today on A Word Before We Leave, we have him talk about his life, his passions, pursuits, and transitions going into this new season of life. Nick is newly engaged. Nick is diving deep into content creation, and he is trying to find a way to make $10,000 a month through his video editing and photography skill pursuits. And he is documenting his whole journey through this online on his Instagram page. You can find him at Nick Bardo on Instagram. And I promise you guys that Nick is profound. Nick has so many good things to say, and he is one of those people that I think of in life that is a true embodiment of perseverance and adaptability. So if you guys are looking for something that inspires you to make a change in your life, or you're looking for something that just wants to remind you that you can keep going and that life is more fulfilling when you're pursuing a purpose, then this episode is for you. Nick Lombardo, I love you, brother. Thank you for this interview. And now, a word of support, and then the show. Are you a fan of A Word Before We Leave? Well, look no further, because you too can now be a part of the podcast. Our support page down in our Spotify link is a quick and easy way to show a little bit of love and help support the podcast financially in any ways. Seriously, the pennies count. Any dollar helps. And we here all at A Word Before We Leave really appreciate all the time and commitment that you guys come and put back into the show. And if you do not have the ability to give money out to the podcast, that's totally fine. We here are just trying to grow the show as is. So if you liked this episode, or if you've liked previous episodes, share it with someone that you love. Share it with a friend or a family that you think might need the show, because our goal is to make A Word Before We Leave one of the best podcasts in the world, and it will be achieved. It's just a matter of time. Please just enjoy the show. Give it a rating through Amazon, Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, you name it, and let's keep making A Word Before We Leave better and better each episode. Thank you guys for listening, and now the show. Welcome back to A Word Before We Leave. My name is Brett Gaffney. We are currently with the wonderful and long lifetime friend and brother, Nick Lombardo. Nick, do you want to say anything?
I'm just honored to be here, honestly.
And Nick, where are we physically in location for the podcast today?
We are...
I would like to have the city included in this as well, because I think the people would be impressed.
Absolutely. Well, just to start off, we're in one of our dearest friends' basements, Christina Haas. She has opened up her house so we could record this podcast. That just so happens to be in Kansas City.
Kansas City. My mom's birthday's in March, so I had the chance to come into town, and the first person I texted was Nick, because Nick has a lot to talk about. And Christy, on the other hand, while she is in the room, I would like her to say hi, just so we can have it on record that this happened, because the last time we've all seen each other collectively has been almost 3 years, about 3 years. Christy, what do you want to say?
Hi, everybody. I want to say too much, so I'm actually just going to stop talking.
Christy, are you a fan of the show?
Literally, of course. Number one fan, some would say.
What's your favorite episode?
4.
Episode 4, Miley Garcia. And
or the one with Emily, because I'm Emily's favorite fan.
Episode 7. That's a good one, too.
So, there you go.
Well, enough about Christy and her love for A Word Before We Leave. One of the original fans, guys. She's just like you, and we're just like you. We are all fans of this collaborative process that is life. And to keep it going and to keep it focused on Nick, I just want to get the ball rolling with the questions.
Yeah.
But first, we started off with Word of the Day.
Oh, boy.
And today's Word of the Day is, let me pull it up. Today's Word of the Day is brought to you by Merriam-Webster Dictionary. Not sponsored, but one day it will be. And today's word of the day is luminary. It is Luminary. And luminary is a person or prominence or brilliant achievement. The word luminary may also refer to a celestial body such as the sun or the moon. And their example sentence is, luminaries of the art world congregated at the International Convention. Now, Nick, you're going to come up with a sentence, and then I'll come up with a sentence, and then that will be word of the day.
Okay, I think my sentence is, Brett, you are one of the most beautiful luminaries I've met.
Oh, my bubbly little heart. It's twinkling right now. And my word of the day, or my sentence for the word of the day will be, when I gaze upon the luminary moon within the sky, it reminds me just how peaceful night can be.
I like that.
Luminary. And that is our word of the day. And without further ado, are you ready to dive into the questions?
I think so, yeah.
Cool. So, Nick, for the people that don't know who you are, obviously I know you well, so the questions could get a little more deep cut. I want you to just give a quick 2 to 3 sentences to the world about who are you, where you're at now currently, and how we know each other.
Yeah. So, my name's Nicholas Lombardo. I would say to describe myself, I am just a human being that at the end of my life, I want to give more than I take. And I see myself doing that by being creative and helping others out in whatever way I can. We know each other from middle school? Yeah, middle school. And we were kind of like theater, like actor, like competition. Like we were like
direct competition for the plays. Like there's not a lot of guys that were like gonna be the lead in the 6th grade play. But if it was gonna be somebody, it was either you or me.
Yeah. And so we weren't really like close, I would say.
But we were in the same bubble.
And I think we had a very like friendly competition between us. And then in high school, we fell into the same friend group. And I mean, after that, we just would hang out all the time.
I actually remember I made a deal with you at the start of freshman year.
Oh my gosh.
And it was, Nick, if I forget who you are by the end of senior year, you have the right to punch me in the face.
I remember that. Yeah.
And because of that, I don't know why I made that deal. I imagine just like, 4 years goes by and you forget people that you met randomly.
Yeah.
And
because we did acting class freshman year together.
yes.
And we like went into that together.
Yes.
But we weren't ready to do plays or something.
I auditioned for the musical and I didn't get in.
Yeah.
And now I'm in a motherfucking Denny's commercial.
Now it's
Holla
your,
at me at Olathe East Theater.
career. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, so far I'm at the start, and it's that's a whole nother conversation.
Sure.
But this is about you. Nick, what gets you out of bed every single day?
There are several things that get me out of bed. I think this is going to probably come up quite a bit in this episode, but like my lifelong goal is to give more than I take. Like I have it tattooed on my wrist. It is something that I heard it once a very long time ago, and it just hit me in such like a special place that like by the time that I die, there's nothing is going to come with me except the things that I've done for other people. That is the only thing that's going to live on after I die. And so for me, all I want to do is give more than I take. I would say other than that, to have something, a new answer, probably thirst for the truth of whatever that may be. And I don't even have a clear picture of what that is, but I know that I'm like a forever student in this game of life.
Yeah.
And so I am always looking for something new to learn, something to pursue, something to, just be a student in any way I can.
What was growing up like for you?
Interesting.
Yeah. And remember, if you don't want to share something, just don't.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, you're totally good. Growing up was interesting. My parents split up when I was like 5, I think. They divorced. I don't know. They separated and then divorced. I don't know, whatever. But I would go back and forth between their houses, and it was very like different like environments between the two. And to save the whole like backstory and everything, I had never felt like I really had like a home necessarily, because I would switch between all the time. And there's certain instances where like I just didn't really like have a bed, which I love my parents. Like I'm not, I'm not out here to get them, but there were just certain things that put me in a position where I was very much in my head, and I was left to like look for something more than where I was. And so there was this deep, deep desire to get me out of the current situation that I was in. And I think that there are certain positions that I was put in as a kid that made me grow up really fast, A, and B, to seek something more. And so I think that made me, what do I want to say? Like, that made me want to do so much more in my life.
Yeah.
And at a very young age, I realized, like, I looked at everything and was very analytical about how I wanted my life to go. And so I just knew that whatever I wanted to do was very different. And so I think that's kind of the main takeaway from my childhood.
When you think back to it, do you have any certain memories or stories from when you were a kid growing up that some kind of passion ignited within you? And if so, what was that moment? Was there ever a moment where you were like, you had a profound realization that you needed to make a change in your life, and the only person that could actually make that change was you?
I don't know if there was a particular moment. There were just, I think, a lot of instances that I was put in to where I was the person to do something about whatever was happening.
Did you have any siblings?
I have
A sister, right?
a half sister technically, but
Gotcha.
I mean, for all intents and purposes, she's my sister. Like I'd never seen her as like my half sister. But she's like 8 years older than me. And so she was kind of like doing her own thing. So I wasn't really like affected by her all that much.
Yeah.
But I'm so sorry.
Profound realization.
Profound realization. Yep. There were just instances where I realized I was the only person that was going to do that. And so time after time after time, it just became like this kind of pattern of like, oh, I am the person that's going to be able to figure that out. Besides that, I just remember there were like, when I was like super young in like elementary school and in middle school, I'd listen to these like hour long, like they were on YouTube. They were like these quote unquote like chill step philosophical tapes or something.
Sure.
And it was like these like philosophers or like different influential people that had these lectures or from different talks, and it would be over this like what was called chill step. And it was just like this ambient kind of like, I don't know, whatever. And I would just think about these concepts, and I was very like existential as a kid. And so like I remember there were so many nights where I'd just be laying in my bed like looking out the window thinking like there has to be more. Like this cannot be it. And like I would just like I wasn't even like I was atheist at the time, and like I would just like pray to anything and everything that was out there that like this cannot be it. This will not be my life. But as far as like a one particular moment, I think it was just in a culmination of a lot of tiny moments.
Was there a specific path or career or job that you wanted to be as a kid outside of the whole knowing that there was more to life that you wanted? Was there like a direction that you wanted to head in at the time?
My lifelong goal when I was a kid was to be a KU basketball player.
Really?
That was like, I didn't know what I was going to do after that, but like,
You wanted to go to college for basketball.
yeah, I just wanted to play basketball at KU specifically.
Yeah.
And that was it.
I mean, that's pretty awesome. I mean, we're from Kansas. That's
Yeah.
That's a plausible goal to have.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Other than that, it was just me trying to figure out what that was, like what was going to be the thing after that.
So from growing up in, obviously we're not trying to come at your parents like you said,
Yeah.
but like growing up was hard, and I'm sure a lot of people can also resonate with that.
For sure.
When did finances and money start to play into your perspective on life?
I would say when I was very young, like maybe when I was like 6 or 7.
And how was that relationship with the idea of money?
I think it's been an ongoing dance, like to this day.
Yeah.
It's something that like I've always had this idea of money of like we just need like just a little bit more to like get us out of this situation, you know. And it's been from a very like survival instinct of just wanting to have a good life. And from a very young age, I'd probably say like middle school, the one thing that I wanted to do was like, I want to make sure my mom never works again. I want to make sure my dad doesn't have to stress about anything. Like, I want to make sure my sister doesn't, you know, isn't left in any precarious situation. And like, that was the way that I was thinking. And it's been very much like a survival thing of like, obviously I want people to have like a good life and more than just the bare minimum, but it's also been me, myself, trying to hang on to every single penny that I can have. So, you know, in case something happens, like, you know, when I was a kid and like we weren't able to, you know, buy like toothpaste sometimes or whatever. Yeah. But now I feel like very recently within the past year, I've looked into money and what money actually is. And for me, it changes the game completely for me of what does it even mean to have money? Why do I want it? And, you know, you start asking yourself these questions of like, instead of just reacting based off of your past, stopping that for just a moment, taking some time and asking yourself like, why am I acting the way that I am around this particular subject? And it has changed how I view it. I still want a lot of money. I'm not going to lie. I want like a Porsche. Like I
mean, that would be pretty fucking cool.
Right. Yeah. Like I want a lot of money, but the reason being,
and also I think there's, you know, this is a show about words, and I think words are very powerful.
Yeah,
like I think there's like, I mean, I've had people talk about manifestation on the show before, and I think the way you talk about certain topics and just even the opinion that you have about it, it comes off through tone, and the universe hears it just as much as you hear it. And when you say you want to have money, that implies that you don't have money, but you want it.
Right.
And I genuinely think in this world, a want is a desire, and a desire is out of reach.
嗯
But for you, you have money.
Yeah.
and you have the ability to get more money.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we find a way to rephrase these things when we're talking about these ideas and topics that are so broad and daunting and heavy,
Right.
I don't want to say scary, because fear is not what's going to guide us to
Right.
our destiny. No one wants to live a fear-based life.
Mm-mm.
So with money, we have to find a way to make it a part of us, but not so deeply a part of us that that's only us.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
So I guess what I'm trying to ask here is, when did you start to expand on the possibilities?
I think I started to expand in, I have a funny story.
Share, please.
So-
we're pro story here.
Yeah. So in, what was this? I think 2019. Yeah. Because we just graduated. Yeah. So early 2019, I had a girlfriend at the time.
Sure.
You know her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
Wait, do I know where this is going? I actually feel like
I think so.
I wanted to ask about this.
Yeah.
Hawaii?
Yes.
Cool.
So my girlfriend at the time and I, we went to Colorado one time for just like a quick little
Right after
day
we
trip.
graduated high
Exactly.
school.
Yes.
Right
Yeah,
after
yeah.
we graduated high school.
So we went to Colorado, and on our ride back, we were like, "What about if we like traveled the world?" And we were
Were
like,
you in the summer program at KU at the time?
yeah.
Not playing basketball.
Right, but it was
Pre-college.
Pre-college.
Yeah.
Yeah, that summer semester, and so we were driving back from Colorado from our little like quick weekend trip or whatever, and we were just, and, it's an 8-hour drive, and so we're just talking in the car, and we're like, yeah. What about if we traveled the world? Oh my gosh, that'd be crazy! Like that'd be so cool. And I remember talking with her in that car and feeling like that's crazy, but like, oh my gosh, like this would be something that like we could just do. Like we have the means to do it. And it was just this moment where I was like, oh my gosh, we can do anything we want. We don't have to do, what we've been doing this whole time.
We don't have to do what society expects us to do.
Exactly. And now the negative part about it was that even though we went for it, which I'm so thankful that we did, and like I'm glad the way that things happened. But in February, right, like several months later, we planned this all out. We were going to travel across the whole entire world and visit all these places. We booked a bunch of Airbnbs, booked airlines, booked everything, and we get to Hawaii. It's not what at all we planned for. She gets sick. It's this whole thing. We lose a bunch of money because there's this huge storm. Like there was snow on Maui, like just ridiculous storm, like unheard of. We spent a bunch of money and to like not camp on the beaches because that's what our plan was, because that was like the cheapest option. And it just went poorly and we went back home. And it was just like, like my dad sold my car because I was like, we're going to be gone for like, several months. Like I don't need a car. And, and so we come back and it's like kind of this hectic time of like, oh gosh, we have like nothing to come back to. But at the same time, it was this moment where, in that summer when we were coming back from Colorado, it was like, oh, you can do whatever you want. And the repercussions, albeit stressful, were fine. Like I ended up fine.
You didn't die.
We didn't die. We're very capable people, and it's like we took a chance and I learned a lot of lessons and it's not as scary as, I thought it was, right? To do something that you want to do. And I think that's like a really important lesson. And like, I wouldn't have had that moment unless we just went for it and we're stupid, dumb kids.
Yeah. What was that night on the beach, the final night?
What do you mean?
I just wanted to know what the last night was before you came back.
Well, so we ended up in a hotel.
Sure. It was raining, right?
Yeah. Well, the storm was like insane. Like there were, I don't know, I heard like 25, 30 foot swells.
Huge waves.
Yeah, just huge waves.
Crashing on the beach.
Right. And so
And you guys were camping out.
we were camping out on the beach, and this like park ranger for the beach comes by and is like, hey guys, so we have to kick everyone off the beach because there's this like, we just can't have you on here. It's
dangerous.
Too dangerous. Yeah. And so we're like, okay, it's like 8:00 at night. And we're like, okay, what are we going to do? So we try to find like an Uber. It's like $100 for the Uber just to get to the nearest hotel, and it's in Hawaii. So the hotel's not cheap on the night of to like book for several days.
Super expensive.
Yeah. So we ended up in a hotel, and then that's when she got sick. So she was bedridden. And I was just like, well, this is beautiful hotel, by the way. Gorgeous.
Like, well, I've never been in a place this nice, right. But this is a terrible night. This is a god-awful night.
Exactly. And it was like a beautiful morning, like I don't know. Yeah. But it was just like, we just have to like figure that out. And so, yeah, I mean, it was just kind of like all of a sudden like, oh, everything is not what we planned for.
Yeah. Nick, are you ready for a segment?
Absolutely.
This is going to be called Wordplay.
Oh boy.
So all we do, it's a simple game.
Okay.
I'm going to count us down from 1, 2, it'll be 3, 2, 1. And then on 1, we'll both say a word at the same time, and we try to get to the same word. The only rule is don't repeat yourself, try not to say names, and nothing in the room.
Right, okay.
So
we've played this before. Yeah.
I'll give you a chance to think of a word. This is like the OG segment of word before we leave.
Yeah, okay. I got mine.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Pineapple.
Philharmonic.
What'd you say?
Philharmonic and pineapple.
I don't even know what that is, Brett.
I can't explain it. That's cheating.
Oh, Lord. Okay, I got mine.
I got it.
Okay.
3, 2, 1.
Luau.
Star and luau.
Okay.
Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Maui.
Bonfire. Maui.
Okay.
I got a word. Bonfire and Maui.
Okay. All right.
You got a word?
Sure.
3, 2, 1. Conga.
Beach.
Oh, I was thinking that.
Oh.
Conga. Beach.
Oh. Okay.
Conga. Beach. 3, 2, 1.
Coconuts.
Banana. Oh, banana. Banana coconuts.
Okay.
3, 2, 1. Balls.
What'd you say?
Balls.
Oh, I said palm.
I was thinking like a banana between two coconuts.
Oh,
balls.
I was thinking of like palm trees.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
Balls.
So balls
and palm. Balls and palm.
Oh gosh. Ooh, I got one.
Oh, okay. 3, 2, 1.
Monkey.
Pollen. Send it to me. You got to send it to me with your mind.
Wait, what'd you say?
Pollen.
Pollen.
I thought you sent me the word pollen, and I was like, of course.
No.
Pollen and monkey. I got it.
Oh, I don't got it. You got to send that to me. Okay.
3, 2, 1. Zoo.
B.
Zoo.
Okay.
B.
Jeez. What? Don't nod your head at me. Like, God.
I got it.
Okay.
Zoo and B. B and zoo.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Oh, okay.
3, 2, 1.
Baboon.
Oh!
Let's go.
Oh,
I just knocked
No,
the
that's
mic.
okay. That's okay. I got scared. I thought you hurt yourself.
No.
Well, that was wordplay.
We used to play that game all the time.
I know. It's so fun. And I was trying to think of segments when I first made the show because I was like, I want it to be heavy, but I need comedic relief in between.
Oh, yeah.
Because it can't be all heavy or people would just be like, this podcast hurts me.
Well, it's better than like a sponsorship like ad.
I want that.
Well, I know, but
I want someone to read a sponsorship ad before, and it's like, this episode is sponsored by Merriam-Webster's Dictionary. And I'd be like, oh, bring me all that money. Anyways, enough about sponsors. They'll come one day.
They'll come.
I'm excited for that day.
Knock on wood.
Nick.
Yep.
So I do like to segment the show, past, present, future.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the present. Tell me, you've started this series on Instagram and you've been doing content creation. I don't want to say casually because that feels insulting, but I do think it's been somewhat casual, with a professional demeanor to it. What has inspired that? What are the aspirations beyond that? And I'll remind you if you forget these.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Content. Why social media?
So I would say that casually isn't insulting. I think I've always wanted to do something like content creation. I've looked up to a lot of people that, that's like their whole job, these content creators.
Like Gary V's.
Entrepreneurs and like all
people
these,
making money off of other
right,
people.
Yeah. And, like I have just been a self-help junkie for like as long as I can remember.
I mean, you're talking to another, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I get it.
And, there's definitely like, I don't know, not a dark side, but you can go too far.
You can go too far.
Yeah, you can go too
lose
far with
yourself.
that. Yeah, absolutely. And so I've always wanted to create content, but then like I've always been nervous about how people are going to respond to that. And so I've kind of like pushed here and then been like, nah, never mind. I don't want to do that. Or like it'll take too much time, and I'm like, but I have so many other things going on and I can't juggle it all. And then it's like, nope, never mind. But like my mind still is like creating these scenarios and coming up with these ideas and doing all of these things where it's like, but then I gotta keep going. So I've never given like this actual try. I've been like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this. And then it just like fizzles out. And so now it's been a thing where I think content creation, like I'm looking at it for what it is. And besides like building a personal brand, besides like all of that, like media is a way that humans connect with other humans through story, through ideas, compacting those ideas into stories. Exactly. This podcast, like people want to connect, people want to understand others, and or maybe not, and there's like that kind of battle to it too. But I have so many ideas that come to my head and I think about so many things, and I've always wanted to put that out and see how that's received by the world. And regardless of whatever I do, I just want to like document my journey because I have really big goals of what I want to accomplish in this life, and it's going to take many forms. And I think one of the biggest things is like I've always been someone with huge ambition, but I've never thought that I'm someone that can actually achieve that. And so like like there's been a separation between like me and like you said, like the Gary V's, or like it's like, yeah, but that's them, And so like,
why do you think you can't achieve it?
I don't think that anymore.
Why did you?
Because I actually really don't know. I think that like I've just consumed so much of it that like I'm like, oh yeah, I agree with that. I don't agree with that, or like whatever. And it's just been the separation of like, yeah, they're the ones that put out the content and I just consume it. And
you had the critic's opinion, but you didn't have the artist's touch.
Right. And I was never willing, or I don't even know if it's that. It might be I just never had the courage to dip my toe into it.
You were the lion in the jungle.
Mm-hmm. And so what I want to do with content creation over the long haul is that if someone like me eventually makes it, you will be able to see like all of the mess ups, all of the things that happened at the very beginning, and you are no different than me and I'm no different than you. And I think like that's something that really drives me to put out just whatever, because like at the end of the day, I'm looking at 20 years from now when people look back and be like, they're relating with this guy who's like, if you look at my Instagram feed, my feed is like a hot mess. Like it looks disgusting because I'm figuring it out as I go and I'm just putting stuff out. And so like over time, obviously I'm looking to create like a beautiful feed and like one that's all put together pretty and like whatever, but I don't want to like hold myself back anymore. And I'm really like done with just not doing what I've wanted to do for so long. I don't know if that covered all of the things that
it does.
Okay.
No,
cool,
it does. Cool. I commend you. I think to be able to put yourself out there, especially when we were birthed into the age of the internet at a very young age.
Mm-hmm.
I think our generation specifically, we're like the upper echelon of Gen Z. We're the older peers of Gen Z, but we are still Gen Z. You know, we have a childhood without phones and technology and computers, but we also have adolescence where we were introduced to it and it was just a thing that you'd share photos for your friends. And now it's becoming this thing that is addictive. It is collaborative. It is inspiring. It is heartening. It is fake. It is real. It is a reflection of what humanity wants to be and what it isn't and what it is. Mm-hmm. And where do you think, what purpose do you think social media could serve in the future? And how do you think your voice could be a future beacon of hope for the person that may want to start, may have been feeling the similar doubts, maybe feels like they are the cowardly lion in the jungle? What do you want to say to them?
Yeah. Well, I think looking at the future for social media, I think the truth is going to be a huge part in that. And it's going to be hard, I think, to distinguish between someone's opinion and what the truth is. And because I think you can already see now someone sharing their opinion can be deemed as the just straight up truth or just an absolute like terrible person. No matter what it is, either side, in the middle, on the outside of the sides, like anywhere that your opinion is, there's going to be someone on the internet that says you're a terrible person. You should not believe that. Or you're a martyr. You're the most intelligent person ever. And I think it's going to be almost a battleground for the truth. And I personally believe that people should be willing to share their opinions, share the things that they're going through, because in a world that's going to be full of technology, human connection and finding other people that are like you when you might not feel like you fit in anywhere is going to be so high on like the hierarchy of needs or whatever, you know, like there's just so much, like, I wish, like, you know, me in high school, like I was very much like a hippie and I was,
I've seen you you went from emo to basketball star to lead guy in a musical to hippie to kind of charming frat guy, back to hippie.
Yeah.
And then to college dropout.
Yeah. Yeah. And so like the like most loving part of me wants to.
And now what I see is a marketing guru for some reason. You know, like I see this guy that's like, you know, I know what I want now, and I it took a while to figure this out, and now that I have this clear path, I'm committing to this one.
Yeah.
For a while.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, I think that's an important thing, is like I'm committing to this in whatever form it takes for till the day I die.
So what does commitment look like to you?
Really, I think it just boils down to getting 1% better every day. And like understanding what I want to do in this life and what I want to help with. Like there's no alternative, I guess, is the way that I see it. Is like, I've been searching my whole life for some sort of purpose and some sort of like grand idea of like what I want to do. And I don't know if there's like a specific thing that will fulfill that purpose, fulfill that need and drive that I have until the day I die. Like, I cannot give as much. I will never be able to give as much as I want to. Like, I just, like when I was after high school, I had several jobs. I worked all the time, and I literally could work for 24 hours a day and think I never did enough. Like, not eat, obviously I didn't ever do that, but the feeling was the same of like, if I didn't eat, if I didn't go to the bathroom, I never took a break, and I worked every single second of those 24 hours in a day, I would have thought, where's that 25th hour? Like, you didn't do enough. And obviously that's unhealthy, but I think that has transformed over the past couple of years of me wanting to do the most that I can for other people. And that takes different forms. That is me sitting with my now fiance.
I was going to ask about that.
Yep.
I'm glad you brought it up.
And spending quality time with her. That's a form of giving. It's not, I want to do grand things. Yes, of course. But the people that are a part of my life and the ways that I can show up for others takes many different forms. And so instead of me wanting to work 24 hours in a day, which I do still have like a workaholic problem, sure, which I'm working on, but I can see how that energy, that built up energy that I have to work so much, can be actually transformed into how can I take care of the people that I love? And what does that look like on a day-to-day basis, right?
You ready for another segment?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
So this is going to be called Word Definition. I'm going to say a word, and you will define it in your own words.
Okay.
Simple.
Yep.
I'll do like 5, and then we'll continue with the questions.
Great.
Family.
The people that root for you when you don't root for yourself.
Art.
The most true expression of your soul.
Life.
Love.
Death.
Nothing without life.
Community.
Everything.
And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
One of those kind of punched me a little bit.
Really?
The family one. I was like,
The family one?
like, ugh.
Yeah, it took me a long time to think of because I know this isn't part of the segment, but just like to touch on family, like I don't know. I think what I've experienced in my life, family can be the people that you're related to by blood. And I think that is a beautiful thing. I think that is very underrated. And if you can make that work, you should put everything into your family. But I think at the end of the day, family is the people that you choose to surround yourself with, and that you should choose the people that root for you when you don't root for yourself. Because one of the greatest expressions of this is actually something with you and our little like high school family that we have. And I just want to tell this story if that's okay.
Yeah.
So
I'm not talking because I'm listening.
Yeah. So there was a time where I used to do a lot of LSD, and that time was in high school. And I think it was senior year in April. Yeah. April, because it was Easter. I had just hung out with Christy, which is ironic, in this house. I just hung out with Christy's family during Easter, and we had a great day together. And it was just, I was kind of a part of the family. I got to meet some of her relatives, and it was just such a genuine, warming family Easter. And I had such a good time. So on a Sunday, I go home to my dad's later that night, and I was switching between my mom and my dad's house because, they're separated. And that night just so happened to be the night that I had to pack up and go to my mom's from my dad's. And so I get home to my dad's, and immediately I just have to pack up everything and go to my mom's. And I got so frustrated that like I just had this, like I was just so mad at my family situation because I just had this beautiful experience at Christie's. And then I had to go home to this like I have to pack everything that I have to go to my other place, which was a futon in a living room. And I was just so frustrated that I decided to take LSD super late at night to escape, whatever. And it lasts quite a long time. Like I took that at like midnight and we had school the next day, you know, it was on Monday. And, you know, I like fake sleep in for my mom and her boyfriend to leave to go to work. I'm like, okay. And I'm like wide awake, you know, I'm tripping. Like relatively on the come down, but like still like not functional.
Yeah, like you're home, but you shouldn't be.
Yeah. And so I was like, I'm supposed to like drive, like I can drive by myself at this point, but I was like, I can't drive right now. I got to get to school. And so I like text Christy or I call her. I don't remember, but I was like, yo, can you get me to school? Like, I'm okay, but like, I need you to get me to school. She's like, sure. She was like really confused. And I think I said something to her on the phone or something like that. And it was like, I'm okay right now. Like, I'm feeling great, but like, I need help. And like, I don't know exactly what I said, but I said something along those lines. And basically, long story short, get to school. I'm tripping. Come to find out that our friend group that we had were texting each other, making sure that I was like with someone and being taken care of. Christy left school to take me home so I could sleep before I had to go to work that night. Like Noah was watching over me. Like all of these people were checking in on me. And I like was just such a mess. And it's something that like has been so influential on me that like people cared about me, even if they didn't understand at all what I was going through. They had no context, didn't even like know anything, just that I was in a bad spot. Like that was it. And that I needed help and I never asked for it. And that to me was like one of the few times that I really experienced family. And it's impacted me so much. Like I tell that story to so many people because like it's one of the reasons why like I feel like it molded me into a part of who I am today, that day. And so, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
I think the world needed that one. I genuinely think that's like, I remember this. I remember this phase. I remember Noah being like, yo, bro, you just say something to him and just be like, tell him how you feel about him. And I was like, well, I love Nick. Of course. That's easy.
Yeah.
Cake.
Yeah.
Cake walk. Go up to Nick, be like, sup, bro? I love you. It's so easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Time really does fly.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that was
5 years ago, 6 years ago?
6, yeah.
Jesus.
That's wild.
So you talked a little bit about being engaged. Nick Lombardo, you are 24 years old and you are getting married.
Yep.
What? How do you feel?
Ecstatic. Just, it's honestly a surreal feeling. Like when I proposed, I'm glad that we both did because that makes it a lot better, but we both like blacked out. Like she doesn't remember what I said. I don't really remember what I said when I proposed. We were just like I knew she was going to say yes. It wasn't like nervous and like this is kind of risky, but it was just like so much excitement.
It's happening.
Yeah. Like this is actually happening.
This is happening right now.
So yeah, just more elated than I could ever be.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's the most incredible person.
Shout out. Shout out to the fiance. So going forward with your journey, you haven't even said what your series on Instagram is right now.
No. Yeah.
Say it.
Yeah, I can go.
Plug it.
Yeah. So it is basically I'm posting every single day of trying to get to 10K per month. I have a little video editing business on the side that I'm building up, and I kind of am just having like a little mini docu-series on every day
building the video editing
and building that up.
The business.
Yeah. That's it.
And
meanwhile, those are like really rough videos and just like a really quick snippet of my day. And then like 3 times throughout the week, I do a little bit more like polished, like kind of idea dumps of like different topics and things that I'm thinking of that are more thought out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it seems like with the path that you're on right now, what are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to loving my life. And I know that's like a really heady kind of answer, and kind of vague, but I have never been in a position with my past and everything where, 1, I know what I want to do with my life, 2, determined, and 3, have people to support me in that. And my fiance would say, like, there are a lot of moments where like I'm frustrated and I'm just trying to like get through the day, but it's, I want to do so much and I want to do these things because I'm excited. I feel like I'm in a position where like, oh, like all of these ideas that I've been learning over the past like 10 to 15 years are like coming together into this human that I am. Like you said, like I've gone through so many different phases. Like I was like, I was a complete atheist to like a hippie to a Christian to like kind of this well-rounded accumulation of everything. And I feel like, what?
You lived in your car, right? For a point in your life. There's like a point where you're like, I'm going to live in my car.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was by choice. It wasn't even like by circumstance. It's just, you were like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
How many days you live in your car?
Well, so it was kind of by circumstance, kind of by choice.
I'm sorry. I didn't.
No. It's okay. So
I'm not trying to like.
I could have probably not done that, but I decided to anyway.
Sure.
It was during COVID.
Sure.
And at the time I was living on someone's couch, but then their roommate or partner or whatever was out of town, and this was during COVID. And so they were coming back and they thought that they had COVID. It was like the first month of it. And so I was like,
I'm a dip.
I was like, what do you mean? And she's like, she's coming in tomorrow. And I was like, I can't, what are you? No, she's not coming in tomorrow.
I don't want to die.
What do
I
you
don't want to
mean?
get that.
And so I was like, all right. And then that night, literally like from when I heard that to me living in my car was like maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, something like that. And so I was like, I mean, I guess this is what I do. And it was COVID. So I was like, I don't know where to go. Who's going to accept a random, like everyone's scared of, germs.
COVID.
Yeah. So yeah. So it was kind of by circumstance, kind of by choice. Like I probably could have gone to my like dad's or something, like he would have taken me in probably, but I decided that I wanted to experience living in my car, in my little 2007 Prius.
You drove to Colorado?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I remember seeing pics and I was like, what the hell is this guy doing right now? Have not seen this dude in a few weeks. And now he's in Colorado. Living
Not
in his
doing
Prius.
well.
Seems like he's sad.
Yeah.
So, Nick Lombardo, I'm going to ask one more question and then I'll ask the final question.
Okay.
So 2 more questions.
Oh boy.
If you could offer a word of advice to 8-year-old you, what would you tell yourself?
This concept has been very pertinent in my life recently and looking back on my life. Because like I said, I've come to this point where everything's kind of coming together for me and I'm kind of connecting the dots in my past. And if I were to give my 8-year-old self any piece of advice, it'd be follow your gut. And as cliche as that sounds, the amount of times looking back that I knew exactly what I wanted to do and I let someone else's opinion, I let my own fears, I let other people's fears, I let anything but myself make a decision is just, it almost makes me mad. The amount of times that like I've thought about doing the exact same thing that I'm doing right now. And if I started then, like, oh my gosh, I'd be so many years ahead, which is fine. I understand this is the path that I need to take and this is what works. But yeah, follow your gut because you already know what you want to do. And there's probably a lot of stuff that you have to unravel and dig through to get to that part of yourself that already knows, but you already know. And I've heard that in so many different ways all throughout my life. And I was like, no, but I don't know. And it's like the next day I'd be like, man, I wish I could do that. And it's like, you can. You just don't think that you can. So, yeah.
Nick Lombardo, would you care to share a word before we leave?
Just to clarify, is this a piece of advice to other people, or is it just literally anything?
Essentially, what I'm asking you, in the most polite way possible, what do you want to say to the world before you're dead? Hence why I say, would you care to share a word before we leave?
Right.
Leaving, implying life.
Right. No, I'm there. I really should have thought about this. I really believe people should trust themselves and give to others as much as you can. And what I mean by that is to fill your cup so much that it overspills onto everyone around you. And I think the only way that you do that is by cutting everything else out so then you can bring it back in. Yeah, I think that's good.
Well, this has been Brett Gaffney and
Nicholas Lombardo.
And you have just listened to a word before we leave. Guys, thank you so much for coming and listening to this episode and joining us in these conversations. I say it every time, but these episodes get better and better, and these conversations are super important, not just to me, but to you guys, and I hope to the people that I interview. But I genuinely, Nick, I loved doing this, and I miss the fuck out of you. This is an unbleeped episode. Sorry. And it's incredible to see you grow up.
Yeah.
And
same to you.
We're all just out here trying to do the thing, you know?
Yep.
And it's about trying. It's not about getting there. It's about trying. Because success is not the goal.
Well, success is defined by you.
Yeah.
You know, I think one of the concepts, sorry, not to
keep going,
but one of the concepts that really stuck with me that I heard a while ago was like, life's not you with a margarita on the beach. That's not life. That's not what success is. Success is when you walk home to your wife and your kids and they react in a loving way. Dad! Hi, babe. How was your day? Like, you know, like that's life.
Yeah.
It's not to escape what you hate. It's to enjoy what you have.
That's absolutely. I'm going to say some quick thank yous, and that is simply the episode. I want to say thank you to everybody that's been a part of season 2, but specifically today I want to say thank you to Christy Haas and the Haas family for inviting Nick and I into their basement to record this episode. I want to say thank you to Nick for giving me the time out of his day. I want to say thank you to Nick's fiance for soon to marry one of my brothers. And I want to say thank you to you, the listener, because I do this for you. I know it may not seem like it. I mean, if you know me, I can have an ego to myself. I get it. But genuinely, I am so passionate about this show. And I don't beg, but I kindly ask, if you enjoyed this episode, please show it to somebody. And if you've enjoyed other episodes, and show it to somebody, because I want this thing to be sustainable and I want this show to grow. Just like all things. And I will do everything in my power to make sure that you guys get new episodes every stinking Monday possible. And it's hard. But I love you guys. And I know Nick appreciates you guys giving your time to hear his story and his ambitions and his word before he leaves. But other than that, this has been Brett Gaffney and Nick Lombardo. I'm going to close the door. That's it.
Woo!